I'm excited to be outside this morning. I don't know about you. I always love church in the park, not just because there's less set up and tear down, and the morning is a little simpler, but I just love being outside. I also love. I already saw this even this morning before service. I feel like there was so many conversations happening and people getting to connect with one another that sometimes it's just hard in the busyness of a normal Sunday morning, and I love that. And the connections we make are such an important part of life. This week, even Allie and I had so many multiple friends going through really difficult things in life, and some of them we got to really come and be there for them, support them, and it reminded me of the importance of having community and having people that are a part of our lives. And even when life is going good, right? It's really awkward to go out and just celebrate the new job on your own, right? That's no fun. You want to have people around you that can be a part of that. We were at the park this week, and I was hanging out with Hannah and Riley at the park, and Hannah needed a little time to play on her own, and Riley wanted to play with a friend, and so she saw this other little girl that was also playing by herself, and she came up to me. She's like, "I want to play with her." And I was like, "Well, go ask her. Like, go invite her. I'm sure she'll say yes." And then that little girl like looked at Hannah or Riley from across, and could tell she kind of wanted to ask the same question. And she came over to her grandpa, and he was like, "Go ask her." And then so you see these two girls from like 20 feet away, just like kind of looking at the ground, kind of looking at each other, slowly walking towards each other, and then they like get there, and who's gonna make the first move? Who's gonna make the first move? And eventually they invited one another. "Oh, will you play with me? Will you play with me?" And they had a lot of fun running around the playground playing together, and and they got to enjoy some time together. But right, like our lives are not lived in a vacuum, or at least they shouldn't be, right? AI and virtual reality are not to the place yet where you can just hang out in your home 24/7. And even if you could, that would not be a healthy way to live. So this morning, my message is called Known For. Known For. And my question that I want to invite you to ask is, what are you known for? Maybe even we were hanging out with some friends on 4th of July, and Allie and I are driving home and kind of talking about the time that we all got to spend together. And I wonder for you, if somebody is going home and maybe they're talking with their spouse, what are you known for? What are they saying about you and who you are and how you live, maybe how your family is? What are you known for? And so this morning we're going to continue. We've been looking at John 14, 15, 16, called the Upper Room Discourse. And we've been talking through what Jesus teaching his disciples, one of the final things he's teaching them and us in turn as well. And one of the things he talked to them about is that, hey, you should be known for your love for others and your love for one another. So that's what we're going to look at this morning. In verse 7, he says, "If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him." And then verse 9, Jesus said to him, "Have I been with you so long and you still do not know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father." So Jesus starts out saying that we will know the Father through him. When we get closer to him and know him more, we actually know God the Father more. And it's part of the mystery of the Trinity of God 3 in 1, that there are 3 of them, but they are all one. But part of that even is as we get to know Jesus, we get to know the Father. And then as people get to know us, we're going to get to in a minute that they should actually get to know Jesus more as well. And Tekoa kids got to memorize last month one of my favorite verses in the Bible, Matthew 22. Any of our Tekoa kids know Matthew 22? Any of our kids paying attention, or they're just having fun? That's okay if they're just having fun too. Matthew 22 says, Jesus responded to a question, what's the greatest commandment? He said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And the second is like it, you should love your neighbor as yourself." And these two things, Jesus is saying, this is what it's about as you live for God. This is what we're supposed to do. And John 13:34 says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." And Jesus' words here, just like we get to know the Father through Jesus, he's saying other people should get to know Jesus through us. That as they look to us or as they see our love for them, that they should get to know who Jesus is through us. This is what we're supposed to be known for. We're supposed to be known for our love. And not in just a simple way. I think what the way that we should be known for, because the way Jesus loved is the way we're supposed to love. And the way Jesus loved was a radical love of caring for the least of these, a radical love for giving his life on the cross for us when we didn't even deserve it, when we were still sinners, a radical love that he would lay down his life even though we didn't deserve it. That's the kind of love that Jesus had, and that kind of love changes things. It's not just that you're like a kind person in the office that people are going to get to know Jesus through you, right? Like that's a good start, but it's a radical love of caring in a way that is more than, that we would love in such a deep way. You know, the early Christians had such a radical love for the poor, and they started like hospitals and medical ways to care for those in need in their city. And they had such a radical love for those in need around their city that the Roman government started to say, we need to do something about this because they are going to gain more power than we have. The people that started taking over the entire world started to get worried because not the Christians were so powerful in their might, but in their love was so powerful that they were becoming a threat to the government. And that sort of radical love can change things and change people. That's the sort of radical love that people see and say, where does that come from? That's the sort of radical love that as we're known for that, all of a sudden people say, well, who's this Jesus? Because I might be interested in who that is. It's not always it's almost never actually the easy path forward. This week, earlier in the week, I was playing pickleball at the courts, and as I was playing, we were on one court on one end, and the ball rolled all the way to the other end, like 100 feet away. And as it rolled, there was this two people walking in, and the ball literally rolled past the feet of this woman, and she just kept walking, ignoring it, just oblivious to everything. And, we're kind of yelling down there, hey, can you throw it back, which is proper etiquette, right? Like, send it back this way so we don't have to walk all the way down there and get it. We're like, and eventually she finally is like, okay, I'll go get it, and we get her attention. And she, rolls it back to us, and we get to get ready to start playing. But then this other guy who wasn't even playing but is kind of part of the group starts talking about how dumb she was and how ignorant she was and all of these negative things about her. And we just kind of started playing and got back to things. And it was so unnecessary what he said. And because maybe she just missed it. And even if she was in the wrong, that there's no reason for us to then flip it and also be aggressive and hostile and mean back, right? That's not like the right response, even if it was. And so many times I think it gets really awkward sometimes when we're the Christians and we're like, well, I wouldn't act that way. Let me just kind of ignore it and get back to my thing. But then as I was reading through these verses in John later that afternoon, I felt the Holy Spirit just kind of convict me of, yeah, he might not have listened to you, and that woman might have never known because she was so far away, she probably wouldn't have heard it, but you should have stood up for her. You should have said something to him. And again, I'm pretty sure he would have ignored it, but I needed to do my part. That sort of radical love that says, hey, this is going to be awkward. He's not going to like it. I'm not going to really like it. But instead of ignoring it, I'm going to actually step out and defend the person that needs to be defended that's weaker. And I think that kind of love not only changes other people and not only introduces people to Jesus, but it can change us. And so how do you respond to a family member? Kids, how do you respond when somebody's mean, maybe not to you, but somebody else on the playground? How do you respond in the hallway at work when, somebody's having a conversation about somebody else that isn't really the appropriate type of conversation, right, that we've all been around? Will the world know and see Jesus through you, or will they just see you kind of doing your thing, putting your head down? I don't want to cause any trouble. so I'm not going to do anything, right? We're not supposed to be known for being aggressive and hostile. We're supposed to be known for a radical love that says, I'm going to stick up for those that need to be stuck up for. I'm going to care for those that are in need and need some help when they reach out that are in my community. So the first is we're supposed to love outward. The second that I have this morning of 2 is love for one another in the church. John 17:23 says, I am in them and you are in me. This is Jesus and the Father. May they experience such perfect unity that the world will know that you sent me and that you love them as much as you love me. Part of that unity is us and Jesus, but part of that unity is our unity with one another. And I think this is such an important piece I've seen over the years in the church that if you are not united and caring for, the church is supposed to be united in such a way that we care for one another, both in our church and linking arms with other churches around us, that we care for those. And this is, and some of you have heard me teach on this before because I think it's so important and a piece that our churches have missed, that our unity is what Jesus says the world is supposed to know us by. And so if we're not doing that, we're missing the tool that Jesus gave us to share about him with the world around us. I also think some of it is just good. It's just enjoyable. Right? Like some of the young adults yesterday said, hey, let's start a WhatsApp group. Let's go to the beach. Hopefully later this summer, they'll have some other activities to just hang out and build community. Things are great. When the women get together at their women's events, when the men's come over for a barbecue, when our small groups start this fall, we're starting to talk about it now because we think we're going to hit this so hard because it's so important. I want to really encourage you. Going to have like 10 weeks of groups this fall. Make room in your schedule. I'm telling you now so that you can plan. Make room in your schedule for those 10 weeks that once a week you can be in a small group, because it's not just that you're going to learn more about God in those 10 weeks, which you will. It's that you're going to build relationships and community that both help you draw closer to God and that are supportive for you in your life and your relationships. And that through that, as you learn to love one another better, that matters. Not just because it's helpful to us, but it even matters to our mission to share about Jesus with other people because of that. So this morning, this week, I was amazed by so many situations this week of when I stopped to think about it, how many times I could choose love or not choose love. How many times I wasn't choosing to do something I shouldn't, but I could choose to radically love and do something that costs something maybe or not. And so many times in our life, there's so many situations. When you show up to work tomorrow, when you go home this afternoon, when all day, every day, there are so many opportunities for you to choose love or not. And I want to encourage us this morning, and it doesn't matter if you're 3 years old, 30 years old, 90 years old. All of us have that capacity from Jesus to love those around us, and all of us have that ability to love more. And I want to invite you to choose love, and for that to be the thing that you're known for. I would love for even our church, the thing that we're known for. Not just our worship that's such an important part of our vision, but that we're known for, as Jesus calls us to, our love. So I want to finish with a story this morning. On 4th of July, we were down in Southern California, and Allie and the kids are still down there with family. But we were down, and I wanted to go to the beach while I was down there. And so we had a barbecue at night, but in the morning, we got to go down to San Clemente, which is an awesome beach area, and we've been there before. The girls love it. The thing they want to do is they just want to go to the swings that are on the beach in the sand. Like, I don't care about the ocean. I just want to go on the swings that are on the beach. And so we did that, and they loved playing in the ocean too. But we didn't. As we got down to San Clemente, I knew about part of this. They have in the morning the longest running office chair race in the world. That's what they're known for. So they grab their office chairs, they customize these things to ride the chairs down the hill to see who can get down there the fastest. I saw this video. This guy, I didn't see it. I saw a video of it. This guy had a full desk on wheels to go down the hill with his office chair. That's fun, and a little silly and crazy, but the other part that I didn't really know about is I knew that during that they throw water balloons at the people that are going down on the office chairs too. What I didn't realize is that all day, people down there are throwing water balloons. Like, people got the doors and tops off their Jeeps, and they're, like, loaded for war with water balloons to, like, chuck them at people and vehicles. And then we rode the trolley down there, so we have to deal with parking and everything. And apparently the trolley gets to be the target for all those water balloons. And so it's the beach, so the trolley doesn't have, like, sides. It's just giant windows. And as we're going home, I'm trying to defend my girls as best as I can. I get pelted in the face because I'm caring more about defending them, and it, like, hurt. It was so hard. And one of them snuck past me and got Hannah in the ear, and she just starts, like, bawling and crying, and, like, rightfully so. I'm like, it hurt me. So I know that if I got hit and I was her size, it would really hurt. And I was like, what is, like, other people were just, like, kind of lobbing them over. It was all fun. These people were not. They were very aggressive in what they were doing. And Hannah just starts being like, why would they do that? Like, that's so mean. I don't like it. Like, why? And she's crying and screaming, and I'm pretty sure some people on the bus are kind of trying to, like, just keep their head down. And, like, it's standing room only in the aisles of this bus. And I think some people are probably like, this girl that's crying right now. But then this other dad of some teenagers that's a couple seats up is, like, climbing over seats, like, because of where he was sitting, where right in the front there was no windows, so the water balloons couldn't get in. He's like, his wife is like, here, hand me Riley. So I, like, handing Riley over. He's, like, getting over seats, and we're climbing, and so we get to, like, a safe spot to stay. But it just reminded me that, okay, this is what love should look like, right? That he was just, I can help right now. And I'm not going to just put my head down and ignore. I'm not going to be annoyed at somebody else, but I'm going to step out and fight through everybody else to make sure that I can care for somebody that is in need in this moment. And what I was thinking through is, man, that's what we should be known for as the church. That's what we should be known for as followers of Jesus, of I'm going to step out. I'm not going to just be doing my own thing, keep my head down. I'm going to go out of my way to show love for those around me because they need it, because they're loved by God, and so they're worth it. And so maybe I don't even have that love, but I'm going to choose to love because I know God loved me, and I know God loves them, and so I'm gonna care for them. So this morning, I want to invite you to just reflect on that. And so one of our traditions here is to not just go play at the park and move on. One of our traditions is that we take a few minutes back to how this church started, even to just break up in community, right? Start in that community thing. And I encourage you, even maybe instead of just with, maybe you came with somebody, bring them, but instead of just, okay, these 4 people that I already know, maybe even go meet somebody else this morning. But we're going to take 10 minutes, and I want to invite you just to reflect on this idea. So if you go to that link where the song lyrics are on the homepage, at the bottom is 5 questions as well. Well, 4 questions and then an invitation to prayer. And so one of them is, where did you miss an opportunity to love recently? Or if people described you, what would you be known for? Or this week, how can you love like Jesus? Or where can you stand up for someone else? I invite you even, include the kids in this. I think it's one of the great parts of Church in the Park is getting to see the kids participate. And so we try to make this accessible for them. But take a few minutes and think about, hey, how can I apply this? Where's an opportunity maybe where I could have loved more? Or where's an opportunity for me to love? If you're in a big group, keep your answers a little bit short so everybody gets a chance to participate in this. But go ahead and circle up, and then we'll come back to finish things off together with one final worship song this morning. So go ahead and group up.